When I first started doing these experiments, I learned that I like to use a little bit of sugar in my pizza dough. Not much, just 1%. I found that it really enhances the flavor and also adds some nice coloring to the crust. Now, ever since I started, I've been getting comments about honey. People say they like to use honey. People want me to try and experiment with honey. So I finally got around to it. And furthermore, I did one more experiment with using boiling water to dissolve the sugar as opposed to room temperature water. One of our community members, George, commented that boiling water is best because it fully dissolves the sugar, whereas using room temperature water does not. So I've never experimented with that, so I did that. So I made 3 dough balls, one using honey, one using room temperature water, which here is about 70, 71 degrees, mixed in with sugar, and then the third using boiling water to dissolve the sugar. So take a look here, 3 glasses. This first one on the left is the one with the honey. You can kind of see that little discoloration in there. That's the honey. Oh, and by the way, honey is sweeter than sugar, and so you have to convert the recipe down to use less honey. I've never done this before, so I went online and I read different numbers. Some people say you've got to use like 50% of the sugar weight for honey. So if you use 1 gram of sugar, you use half a gram of honey. Others say to use 2/3. Others say to use 3/4. I don't know which one was the best way, so I just did something in the middle. I did 0.63%. So each one of these dough balls normally has 1.5 grams of sugar. And so for the honey one, I did 0.93 grams of honey instead of the sugar. So one on the left is the honey. One in the middle is the one with the boiling water. And what I did was I put this glass on the scale and added the sugar. And then I just poured the boiling water straight in. And sure enough, it dissolved like instantly. The sugar just dissolved just from pouring the hot water in. Now, the one on the right is the room temperature water. I poured the room temperature water in, and the sugar did not dissolve. It was just kind of a sludge. It sat there for quite a while. As the boiling water one cooled down to room temperature, the one with room temperature water just sat there. And you can't really tell from the video, just because you can't, but there was the white sludge from the sugar at the bottom. Now, after however long it was, the sludge was still there, so I took a spoon and stirred it up. Now, when I stirred it up, it dissolved. It appeared to dissolve totally. Maybe at a molecular level, the sugar granules weren't as small, but I couldn't see the sugar. I couldn't see that white sludge at the bottom of the glass anymore. So I made 3 dough balls using these 3 glasses of water, and I baked them. And here they are. The pizza on the left is the one made with room temperature water. The one in the middle is made with honey, and the one on the right is made with the boiling water. So first, take a look at the appearance. They're all very, very similar at least. The rim of the crust had the same amount of bubbles inside, the same size. Oh, when I was stretching the dough out, I couldn't tell the difference at all either. They're 3 identical dough balls to me. These pizzas appeared the same. Now, the one in the middle with the honey does look a tiny bit darker, and that was my fault. I got distracted and it sat in the oven for about 10 to 15 seconds longer than the others. And you can kind of tell if you look, there's like a couple of burn marks on the cheese. But other than that, it's really similar. And they all had the same strength. They all had the same crispiness. They all tasted really good. They all tasted the same. And that's kind of the experiment in a nutshell. When I used 0.63 grams or 0.63% of honey to sugar, it tasted the exact same. And I could not tell any difference between sugar where boiling water was added versus room temperature water. They just turned out the same. They were all good. So that's it. For my experiment, I can't tell any difference at all whether or not you use honey or boiling water added to sugar or just room temperature water. So that's that. Let me know what you think. Let me know if you have different results from your experiments. As always, it really, really helps if you do an experiment side by side with like a control pizza, control dough, just so you can get that side by side experience. Making something one day and then doing it another way another day, it's just not the same. I know these last few experiments I've kind of been splitting hairs, and like the pizzas are turning out the same regardless of these small little variations. I'm going to try to step back, zoom out, and do some experiments where I can get some, greater disparity and bigger differences. Just for fun, I might experiment with, I will experiment with different types of flour soon. Anyways, thanks for watching.